The NBA draft is right around the corner, and as we all know, the consensus top three picks have already been made pretty much. It just comes down to what order they go in. As we all know, Jabari Smith Jr., Paolo Banchero, and Chet Holmgren are basically the consensus guys to go in the top three, no matter what order they go in. Now, it looks like the Magic may be leaning towards Smith Jr. in the more recent weeks as news has come out about that, but we really have no idea until the pick is made. We've seen surprising selections. Anthony Bennett is the first name that comes to mind, a guy that nobody expected to go first overall and definitely should not have gone first overall. But you just never know exactly what a team's going to do when they have that first overall pick. But if I have my opinion, out of these players, I'm going Jabari Smith and Paolo Banchero 10 times out of 10 over Chet Holmgren. And I don't want this video to just be a video straight up hating on Chet, because there's a lot of people that hate on college players and on younger guys. And that can hurt guys' confidence. It can also, be pretty embarrassing whenever they come out and do good. But you've got to have takes, and not every take is going to be right. So I would love to be wrong about this one. But as you can see from the title, I don't believe that Chet Holmgren is going to come in and be like this superhero savior of a franchise that he's made out to be. Now, arguably, compared to any NBA draft in the past, this one seems like it's had the most hype around its players. Not the draft itself, but the individual players. And let me explain that real quick, because Chet has grown up as that guy you see on Instagram clips. 7-foot tall middle schooler dunks on tiny kid. Like, we've seen Chet. We've seen, like last year, Jalen Green. We saw him coming up. We saw LaMelo coming up. They even had a show for the Ball family. Like, we never saw that in the past with guys like LeBron and all that, Kobe, stuff like that. We only got the magazines. We got the stuff like just not media portrayed stuff. And I think that has hurt a lot of guys, but it's also helped get a lot of guys where they're at now. And that's probably why Chet has continued to be as high as he has, despite having a poor statistical season. We all know the potential he has, and with a body frame like him, if he can just bulk up, which is the biggest problem that a lot of people say with him, he should be a great NBA player. Now, I don't 100% agree with that, but that's one of the problems or issues or points that I do have to make. We all know how we saw Giannis do it in the NBA. We've seen Joel Embiid do it. Everybody has come into the NBA and bulked up and gotten good, or they fell in out of the rotation and lost their spot on a roster. I mean, it's just bound to happen eventually. You never know when your spot is safe and when it's not. And with Chet Holmgren, the way his body is, he has to get bigger if he wants to not get exposed. We saw it multiple times across their college basketball season. Chet was not able to guard other team centers just because of how they could overpower him, and that's college guys. You put him up against Giannis, you put him up against Joel, he's going to get dominated, and that's not even in a bad way. That's just facts. He's not big enough to guard them. Now that can be said a lot about that can be said a lot about a bunch of NBA rookies coming into the league. I mean, Giannis was probably the same size as Chet whenever he came in, so that wouldn't be my main reasoning behind disliking him. But on top of that, if he's going to be a top 3 pick, his stats from the college season are just not good enough. 14 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists on 60% shooting. The 60% shooting is definitely the best part, but this guy's supposed to go top 3, and he's not even an elite scorer. He was in the top 150 in the entire class last year. Put that into perspective. He's only at 150th in college basketball last year points per game, but he's projected to go 2nd or 3rd in the NBA draft. That just doesn't sit well with me. A guy that's going that high in the draft needs to have a little bit more of a well-rounded offensive game and be able to get to his spots. A guy that knows where his strengths are and what his weaknesses are, and it just doesn't seem like Chet has learned that yet, because he doesn't. He doesn't know how to score at a high capacity. I mean, the rebounds are nice, but the dude's 7 foot something, so of course he's going to get rebounds in college. I just don't know if he can come in and be consistent, at least consistent enough to warrant a top 3 pick. And that's why I'm so worried about that as whatever team ends up getting Chet, because on top of the physical aspect of his career, or his body, and then the actual physical aspect of his game, how he plays offense, how he plays defense, the mental part is even bigger. Now, we love guys with confidence. You love guys that have blind confidence. They believe in themselves. But arrogance just isn't good when it comes to the NBA. And we all know he's going to have his moments. Every rookie, it seems like, gets dunked on at some point. But the way he's been talking the last few weeks does not paint himself in a good light. I mean, we've seen him say that in a few months within being drafted, he's going to be the best player in the NBA. He can be a 50, 40, 90 player straight out the bat. I mean, this is just crazy from a rookie, and it's crazy to hear something like this. And correct me if I'm wrong, I can't really think of anybody in the past that said stuff like this. I mean, I'm sure there's been cases of guys that have said some crazy stuff, but I wonder how many of them have actually worked out as NBA players. I would beg to say not a lot of them have, but I could be wrong on that front. I just don't agree, or I'm not going to be able to be content with all of these aspects being negative parts of him, and then him still coming in and being a consensus top 3 pick. I mean, we all know, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of training and discipline to be in the NBA and become a superstar, no matter what pick you are. And I just don't know if Chet Holmgren has that X factor in him. I mean, we've seen it from guys. I feel like Jabari Smith has already shown it to us while he was at Auburn. I haven't seen much of Paolo because he's just a freshman, but I feel like he has seen it, or we've seen it a little bit in him coming from Duke. And Gonzaga with Chet Holmgren, we just haven't seen it yet, and we haven't seen him grow as a player or a person coming into this draft. But at the end of the day, somebody's still going to draft him in the top 3 spots, and I would hope it's number 3 no matter what. But I mean, somebody's probably, I'd assume that he's gonna get taken 2nd overall by the Thunder. I don't know. I don't think Chet is gonna be as good as people say he's gonna be, and he almost, in my opinion, reminds me of just a typical NBA bust, a guy that's not gonna work out. And I never want to throw the bust out there when a guy's not even drafted yet, so I don't want to call him a bust. I just want to say I'm skeptical about how his career is going to work out and whether or not he's worth that number 3 or number 2 overall pick. But as far as I know, the Magic are pretty good to take Jabari Smith Jr., so hopefully they're safe. If one team's going to succeed out of these top 3, I wouldn't mind it being the Magic, just because they've never really had success recently. They had Dwight a while ago, but that was a good bit ago. Most fans don't even remember that if you're a Magic fan after how much you've suffered. So how do you guys feel about Chet? Do you think he's going to be the real deal? I'm kind of skeptical on him. It's hard for me to say he's going to be. Make sure to comment down below how you're feeling about this draft for your team and how you feel about Chet Holmgren. I'm open to discussions. I'm open to hearing anything you guys have to say. Thank you for joining me, watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you did enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time.